Welcome back, denizens of the night, to V Rising. We are about to take on the final V Blood Carrier and obtain the last remaining soul shard in this game. The last boss we're going after is Solarus the Immaculate. A legendary paladin of the light and the oldest living member of the Church of Luminance, his connection to the light has extended his lifetime seemingly indefinitely, and he's watched the steady descent of man down the path of comfort, greed, and avarice with disinterest. A pioneer of the Age of Heroes, he yearns for the days of glory to return and cares for little else. Solarus is located in the eastern side of the Silverlight Hills in the Fortress of Light, though you probably guessed that's where he was. No other part of the map screams that there's a giant fortress here. Before we head out on our final mission, there's one last tip I want to share, and that is, what is the best blood type for fighting bosses? There are 6 blood types total, which I will go through now. Creature. You can't bottle this, so it has to be obtained in the wild. It can have up to 15% movement speed, 20% damage reduction, and 150% health regen. It's not bad. Worker. This increases resource yield, damage against resources, increases mount speed, and has a small chance to instantly destroy a resource node. This is purely for farming resources and has no place in the battlefield. Scholar. This gives 20% spell power, reduces spell cooldowns by 15%, gives 10% spell life leech, and a 15% chance to reset a spell's cooldown. This is good for ranged magic battles, but as you've seen with my guides, in a single player game I use more defensive spells for the harder bosses. I also find that the spell cooldown trigger messes up with my rhythm. It's great that I can sometimes double cast a spell, but there's usually a rhythm to my battles, and this just messes with it. Brute. This has a 12.5% life leech, 15% increased attack speed, plus 1 gear level, and 35% increased healing received. For bosses, the 4% heal from kill shots will only apply to bosses with adds, and the last bosses don't really have that many. It also has a proc, where on heal you have a chance to boost movement speed and weapon speed by 20 and 25% respectively. This is great if you're playing the role of a tank, or are in a fight that requires lots of healing. The healing is great, but since I prefer using ranged attacks like crossbows and spells, I won't be taking much advantage of the attack speed boost. Warrior. This gives 20% physical power, 15% reduced weapon cooldowns, and when at full health you'll have 15% reduced damage and 25% additional physical damage, and best of all, a 15% chance to parry attacks. This reduces the incoming damage by 50% and gives you a short 25% damage buff. If you like to melee, this one is for you. Lastly, Rogue. This gives a 20% increased chance to crit, 15% movement speed, 25% reduced cooldown on your travel skills, and a 50% chance on crit to reduce the enemy's armor. Out of all the different blood types, this one is the best when learning an encounter. Specifically, if you have 100% rogue blood, your dash skill will have a cooldown of 5.5 seconds instead of 8 seconds. This is great because you can rely on dodging a lot more when learning an encounter. Keep in mind that for all of these, everything gets an additional 30% bonus if you have a 100% blood type with you. Finding a 100% blood type is incredibly rare, so you have to keep your eyes open and use blood hunger as often as you can when out traveling. For this fight, while I would normally use the rogue blood for it to help with dodging, I'm going to go with my 100% brute blood for the increased healing instead. When you get to the Fortress of Light, you'll find that once again it's protected by holy magic. You'll need a Holy Resist flask to enter, but if you have the Behemoth Soul Shard buff, a regular Holy Resist potion will work just fine. Keep in mind that your holy resistance will persist through death. If this is your first time with this encounter, you should prepare to run back and restart as quickly as possible in case you die. The fight with Solarus has 4 phases to it. In the first phase, you'll be introduced to his 3 basic attacks.
With the power of your end is nigh.
He can shoot a wave of holy bolts at you. He can dash towards you, leaving a wave of holy bolts behind
Your
him.
end is nigh.
And lastly, he uses a 2-hit combo melee attack that creates blades after the last hit lands. To dodge his melee strike, step to the sides to avoid the last swing, but then stand back in front of him to avoid the diamond-shaped pattern the blades follow. If he shouts, "Your end is nigh," he will create 20 holy bolts that first swing behind him before being launched towards you. These are easier to dodge from afar, but I usually save my dash for this attack. If he glows, he's about to use his dash. Like with the Behemoth's dashes, Solarus is going to dash where he thinks you're going. To avoid this, move to his sides to trick him into thinking you're going there, then turn away before the dash begins. If he shouts, "This is Luminance," this will summon 2 turrets that shoot holy bolts in all directions.
Your end is nigh. Your end is nigh.
When you get him down to 50%, you'll now move into phase 2. He starts by shouting, "Prepare to face true power."
Prepare to face true power.
Then he summons a divine angel to help him in the fight. You now have to fight Solarus with all of his existing abilities and the new angel as well. The angel starts with 2 attacks, a 3-hit combo where the last attack shoots a repeating spear, or a diving attack where she flies from across the room. What's important to note is where your damage should be going in this phase. If you damage the angel too much, Solarus will cast a spell that heals the angel to full, but you'll need to do some damage to her before entering phase 3. Try to balance the damage so that when Solarus' health is at 10%, the angel will be close to 50%.
Your end is nigh. Your end is nigh. This is Luminance.
The angel will also eventually use a new spell, where she shoots 4 large holy bolts at you. These are tricky to dodge and are hard to sidestep. You may have to use your dash or counter ability to avoid these.
Your end is nigh.
Once you get Solarus down to 10%, this is when we enter phase 3. He will surround himself with a shield, healing him and making him invincible. He'll also shout, "This is my purpose,"
This is my purpose.
which will summon multiple holy beams from the sky. Now the race begins. You must now defeat the angel before Solarus' health reaches 100%. When you get the angel down to about 30% health, they'll gain a new ability similar to Solarus' wave of bolts. Don't be fooled, this one is much stronger. There are 4 waves instead of 2, which adds up to about 40 holy bolts being fired at you. Once you've gotten the angel's health down to 0, she will resurrect herself as a fallen angel. Don't worry, she's on your side now. Her first act is to remove Solarus' pesky shield. You've now entered the 4th and final phase. With help from the fallen angel, You now have to fight an upgraded Solarus with the help of the Fallen Angel. In this phase, a couple of his abilities get upgraded, and he learns a new attack. His new move is one where the ground below you glows and he performs a slam attack. If you're hit by this, you will be stunned. He will always follow up this attack with a powerful swing that deals lots of damage. His melee attack also gets upgraded to a 4-hit combo, and the last swing now creates 4 blades instead of 2. You'll notice that if he raises his sword to the sky, he'll use that ability again where holy lasers will rain down from above. There's a lot to keep track of during this fight. Hope you do your best.
This is luminance!
Despite all the craziness going on, don't forget that the Angel won't last forever. Soon, you're going to have to deal with all of his abilities by yourself. Hopefully you've gotten his health down low enough that you can finish him off in a reasonable amount of time. If you don't finish him off within a couple minutes after this, he will summon another Angel, which basically means the fight is over and you'll have to retreat. Upon defeat, you learn a new ultimate ability called Summon Fallen Angel. He'll also drop his soul shard, which you'll once again have to walk back to your castle without your abilities. Lastly, you can finally claim the last quest on the top left of your screen. This unlocks the highest level accessory in the game. After placing the Soul Shard of Solarus, you get a buff that increases your sun resistance by 50, your melee attack speed by 5%, and your physical power by 10. Congratulations, vampires. We've finally done it. Every V-Blood carrier has been defeated, and we're also now the proud owner of 3 powerful soul shards. Our playthrough is essentially complete, but we'll be back. The developers still have to complete the Hallowed Mountains, and it looks like there's space up north for something more. Until then, bloodsuckers, good night.